Have you ever had someone leave your life and it changed everything? Not just a friendship fading away, but a relationship that shaped your entire world. The kind of relationship where you built a life together, you raised children together, you planned a future together, and suddenly it's over. And you're left standing there wondering, how did my life end up here? Why did this happen? God, where are you in all of this? 4 years ago, that was my reality. And today I want to talk about something that took me years to understand. Sometimes when God removes people from your life, it's not punishment. Sometimes it's protection, and sometimes it's just redirection. And sometimes it's the beginning of the transformation we didn't know we needed. Hi, and welcome back to Becoming Her with Caroline. So, this channel is a place for women who are rebuilding their lives with God, rediscovering who they are, and stepping into the purpose God created for them. And today I want to share a little about my story and what God has been teaching me and why certain people leave our lives. So, 4 years ago, my life completely changed. I separated and later divorced from the father of my children, and we'd been together for over 20 years. 20 years of history, 20 years of memories, 20 years of building a life together. But over time, we simply grew apart and we weren't happy anymore. And we both knew something had to change. So we had to make the difficult decision to go our separate ways. And while it was the right decision, it was still life changing because suddenly I was a single mom raising two young girls. I had to work full time. I'd bought a house. I had to manage finances on my own. And I had to figure out how to run an entire household as the only adult. And it was wild. There was no partner to lean on anymore. And at the same time, all this was happening, I suddenly also turned 40. So here I was entering a new chapter of my life that I never imagined for myself. And I was just like, what now? Some days were really, really hard. There were moments where I felt so overwhelmed, so exhausted, and so lost. And I would lie in bed at night thinking, how did I end up here? How am I going to do this? Can I really do this on my own? And I remember reading in Psalms 34, verse 18, where it said, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And during that season, I held on to that promise because there were days where my heart truly felt broken. But there were also weird moments of unexpected freedom, moments where I realized I had space to rediscover myself, moments where I realized I could make my own decisions, build my own routines, and create a life that looked different. It was a mixture of grief and independence, of loss and possibilities. But I won't lie, the first 2 years were incredibly difficult. I didn't know who I was anymore. When you've spent most of your adult life with someone, your identity becomes so intertwined in that relationship. And then suddenly that identity is gone. So I went through this period of trying to figure myself out. I tried dating again and it was terrible. Some experiences were awkward, some were just very disappointing, and some made me realize quickly that I was not ready. I thought I could move quickly, but deep down, I hadn't healed at all. And eventually, I had to sit myself down and tell myself that I needed to slow down, I needed to heal from this trauma, and I needed to rediscover who I was. And this is where something really important happened in my journey. I realized that somewhere along the line, my relationship with God had drifted. Yes, I was still a Christian. Yes, I was still going to church. Yes, I was still praying. But if I'm completely honest, God wasn't truly at the center of my life anymore. And I realized that if I was going to rebuild my life, I couldn't do it on my own strength. I had to come back to God. And one of my favorite verses is Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That verse became very real for me because my own understanding was telling me I should be figuring everything out, I should be in certain places. But God was reminding me that healing takes time. So I began to rebuild my relationship with Him. I started praying more and being more intentional about my Bible study. I started learning about fasting. I even began tithing again. And slowly, God started working on my heart, not overnight, but little by little. And I realized something powerful. Sometimes God removes people from our lives not to hurt us, but to transform us. Because certain chapters just have to close before new ones can begin. And in Isaiah 43, verse 19, God says, "See, I am doing a new thing." And that is exactly what He was doing in my life. He was doing something new. And looking back now, I understand something that I didn't understand at the time. The end of that relationship, the end of my marriage, didn't mean my life was falling apart. It just meant my life was changing direction. God was using that season to help me rediscover who I was, to build my confidence back again, to strengthen my faith, and to show my daughters what resilience really looked like, and to bring me back into a deeper relationship with Him. So if you're watching this video and someone has recently left your life, a relationship has ended, or a friendship has faded, or life simply didn't turn out the way you expected, I want you to know something. God can still work through this, even the painful parts, because in Romans 8, verse 28, it says, "And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him." Not some things, all things, even heartbreak, even endings, even seasons of starting over. I am still on this journey. I am still growing. I am still rediscovering me. I'm still healing, and I'm still becoming the woman God created me to be. And that's what this channel is about. It's not about perfection. It's about walking the steps and becoming who we are meant to be. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, comment, and continue this journey with me. And if you're walking through a difficult season right now, I just want to remind you this: God is not finished with your story, and life is just beginning a new chapter.